ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaste my dear friends. This is 21st video of Maharshi Ramana's talks. This video will start with talk number 358, 12th February 1937, a scene in the hall. It is 8:20 p.m. Sri Bhagwan has returned after supper and stretched himself on the sofa. The light is dim. There are three men sitting on the floor. One is busy copying something from a journal, another is wrapped in meditation, and the third is looking around, having nothing to do. The hall is silent but for occasional clearing of the throat by Sri Bhagwan. Madhava Swami, the attendant devotee, sleeps in the noiselessly with a sheaf of beetles in hand. He moves to the table. Sri Bhagwan, who is reclining on the sofa, sees him and calls out, yet kindly, Sisi, what are you doing? The attendant softly murmurs, nothing, leaves the beetle there and fumbles hesitatingly. Mercy, I do not want it. The attendant softly settles down on the floor. Sri Bhagwan, Kasturi pill, one after another every day. The bottle will be empty, and more is ordered. I don't want it. A devotee skillfully blames the Ola Podrida of the day meal for the indifferent health of Sri Bhagwan. Mercy, no, it was well made. It was good. Silence but for expectoration and eructation. After a few minutes, the attendant slips out and returns with a bottle in hand, goes near Sri Bhagwan and stretches out a pill, saying, come in, seed pill. Sri Bhagwan softly murmurs, it contains lime juice. Lime juice is not good for this. One devotee, Rangaswami Iyengar, has in the meantime become wide awake from his meditation and looks on. The attendant is still holding out his hand with the pill. Sri Bhagwan continues, who is to munch it? The Rangaswami Iyengar. It need not be munched. It may be kept in the mouth and sucked. The attendant hastily agrees. Yes, it is only to be sucked. Mercy, give it to him. Pointing to Rangaswami Iyengar, let him munch it or suck it. I do not want it. The attendant returns disappointed and squats on the floor again, rises up. Mercy, what do you do? I do not want. The attendant moves up to the medicine chest, murmuring, Kasturi pill, it will be effective. Sri Bhagwan, I shall soon be right even without it. Do not take it out. Keep it there. I won't take it. Do what you like. The attendant again settles down and all remain silent before retiring to bed. 13th February 1937. Talk 359. All about 7:30 a.m. Sri Bhagwan was climbing up the hill after breakfast. Padananda went and prostrated, stood up and said, all right, I have had darshan, I shall return. Sri Bhagwan smilingly, who is darshan? Why don't you say that you gave darshan to me? At about 9 a.m., a devotee from Pune, Mr. Parkhi, saluted Sri Bhagwan and read out his Ashtaka, praying to Sri Bhagwan for grace. The piece finishes with a prayer for quick liberation. Jatiti, Jatiti Mukti, and the devotee emphasized it. Jatiti means very fast. Mr. Mukti, Bhagwan, Maharshi, Mukti, that is liberation. Maharshi, Mukti, that is liberation is not to be gained the hereafter. It is there forever and now. Here and now, devotee. I agree, but I do not experience it. Maharshi, the experience is here and now. One cannot deny one's own self. Devotee, that means existence and not happiness. Maharshi, existence equals happiness equals being. The word mukti, liberation, is so provoking. Why should one seek it? He believes that there is bondage and therefore seeks liberation. But the fact is that there is no bondage, but only liberation. Why call it by a name and seek it? Devotee, true, but we are ignorant. Mercy only remove ignorance, that is all there is to be done. 14th February 1937, Talk 360. The aristocratic gentleman from Lucknow has written to Mr. Paul Brunton that his wife has since lost that peace of mind which she had gained by her visits to Sri Bhagwan. So he desires that Sri Bhagwan may be pleased to restore the same peace. When requested, Sri Bhagwan said, "It is due to the weakness of mind that peace once gained is later lost." Talk 361. Mudaliar Swami, son of the lady who brings bhiksha every day to Sri Bhagwan, related the following interesting incident. During the time Sri Bhagwan was staying in Virupaksha cave, Sri Bhagwan and Mudaliar Swami were walking together behind the Skandasramam site. There was a huge rock 15 feet high. It was a cleft. A girl's shepherdess was standing there crying. Sri Bhagwan asked the reason of her sorrow. She said, "A sheep of mine slipped into this cleft, so I am crying." Sri Bhagwan descended into the cleft, took the sheep on his shoulder, climbed up to the surface and delivered the sheep to her. Mudaliar Swami says that it was a very remarkable feat for any human being. Talk 362. Mr. Subbaramaya, a college professor from Nellore, asked about Mukti, Maharshi. All questions relating to mukti are inadmissible because mukti means a release from bondage, which implies the present existence of bondage. There is no bondage and therefore no mukti either. Devotee, the Shastras speak of it and its grades. Maharshi, the Shastras are not meant for the wise because they do not need them. The ignorant do not want them. Only the mumukshus look up to the Shastras. That means that the Shastras are neither for wisdom nor for ignorance. Devotee, Vasishtha is said to be a Jivan Mukta, whereas Janka was a Videha Mukta. Mercy, why speak of Vasishtha or Janka? What about oneself? There were many new visitors this day. Two of them were speaking of Ganpati Muni in Sri Bhagwan's presence. Sri Bhagwan put in a few words in their talk. Number one, some say that Jnana and Upasana are the two wings with which to fly to Mukti. What is Jnana? What is Upasana? Jnana is ever present That is the ultimate goal also. When an effort is made, the effort is called upasana. When it is effortless, it is jnana, which is the same as mukti. 2. After some discussion among themselves, a visitor said, some superior power must help us to seek of the externalities. Sri Bhagwan said, who sees the externalities, or do they say that they exist? If so, let the world say that it exists. Again, if the world is a projection from the interior, it must be recognized that it is projected simultaneously with the I thought. Either way, the I is the fundamental basis knowing which all else is known. 3. Another said that Ganpati Muni used to say that he could even go to Indra Loka and see what Indra was doing, but he could not go within and find the I. Sri Bhagwan added that Ganpata Muni used to say that it was easy to move forward but impossible to move backward. Then Sri Bhagwan remarked, however far one goes, there he is. Where is the moving backward? The same truth is contained in the mantra in Isa Upanishad. Fourth, in reply to a query how Ganpati Muni became an Asu Kavi inspired poet, Sri Bhagwan said it is said that while he was making tapasya, Shiva appeared and gave him milk or honey to drink, after which he became Asu Kavi. 20th February 1937, Talk 363. A European civilian, Mr. Dodwell, Deputy Secretary Finance, Madras Government, arrived with his wife before 1 p.m. and stayed in the hall till about 3:30 p.m. The lady asked the spiritual leaders in the West to say that the spiritual center is in India. Is there any contact among the spiritual leaders in India or in contact possible? Is contact possible between the leaders of the East and West? Maharshi, what do you mean by spiritual center? Devotee, the spiritual center is the seat of spiritual leaders. Mercy, what do you understand by spiritual leaders? Devotee, in the West there is a crisis. Scientific knowledge is far advanced. Such knowledge is used for generating destructive forces. There is a moment for making them constructive. When thus diverted, it will be for the good of the world. The leaders of this movement are the redeemers. Maharshi, by spiritual leaders, we understand those who are spiritual as opposed to the physical. Spirit is unlimited and formless. Such too is the spiritual center. There is only one such center, whether in the West or in the East. The center cannot differ, nor has it any locality. Being unlimited, it includes the leaders, the men, the world, the forces of destruction and of construction. There is no differentiation. You speak of contact because you are thinking of the embodied being as spiritual leader. The spiritual men are not bodies, they are not aware of their bodies, they are only spirit, limitless and formless. There is always unity among them and all others. Nay, they comprise all. The spirit is the self. If the self is realized, these questions cannot arise at all. Mrs. Jinaraja Dasa from Adayar. Self-realization sounds so easy, but yet it is so difficult in practice. Maharshi, what can be easier? The self is more intimate than anything else. If that cannot be realized, is it easy to realize what is apart and further away? Devotee, self-realization is so illusory, how can it be made permanent? Maharshi, the self can never be illusory. It is the only reality. That which appears will also disappear and is therefore impermanent. The self never appears and disappears and is therefore permanent. Devotee, yes, true. You know that in the Theosophical Society they meditate to seek the masters to guide them. Maharshi, the master is within. Meditation is meant for the removal of ignorance of the wrong idea that he is without. If he be a stranger whose advent you await, he is bound to disappear also. Where is the use of transient being like that? However, as long as you think that you are an individual or that you are the body, so long the master also is necessary and he will appear with a body. When this wrong identification ceases, the master will be found to be the self. There is a stanza in Kaivalya. My Lord, you had remained as myself within, protecting me in all my past incarnations. Now, by your grace, you have manifested yourself as my master and revealed yourself as the self. Just see what happened in sleep. There is no ego, no India, no seekers, no master, etc. And yet you are and happy too. The ego, India, seekers, etc. appear now, but they are not apart from nor independent of you. There was a large group of visitors on account of the election holidays, and some of these also joined in the discussion. One of them asked about reincarnation. Maharshi, reincarnation can only be so long as there is ignorance. There is no incarnation either now, nor was there before, nor will be hereafter. This is the truth. Devotee, what is the ego self? The Maharshi, the ego self appears and disappears and is transitory, whereas the real self always abides permanent. Though you are actually the true self, yet you wrongly identify the real self with the ego self. Devotee, how does the mistake come about? Maharshi, see if it has come about. Devotee, one has to sublimate the ego self into the true self. Maharshi, the ego self does not exist at all. Devotee, why does it give us trouble? Mercy, to whom is the trouble? The trouble also is imagined. Trouble and pleasures are only for the ego. Devotee, why is the world so wrapped up in ignorance? Maharshi, take care of yourself, let the world take care of itself. See yourself, if you are the body, there is the gross world also. If you are spirit, all is spirit also. Devotee, it will hold good for the individual, but what of the rest? Maharshi, do it first and then see if the question arises afterwards. Devotee, is there avidya? Maharshi, for whom is it? Devotee, for the ego self. Mercy, yes, for the ego. Remove the ego. Avidya is gone. Look for it. The ego vanishes. The real self alone remains. The ego professing avidya is not to be seen. There is no avidya in reality. All shastras are meant to disprove the existence of avidya. Devotee, how did the ego arise? Maharshi, ego is not. Otherwise, do you admit the two selves? How can there be avidya in the absence of the ego? If you begin to inquire, the avidya which is already non-existent will be found not to be, or you will say it has fled away. Ignorance pertains to the ego. Why do you think of the ego and also suffer? What is ignorance again? It is that which is non-existent. However, the worldly life requires the hypothesis of avidya. Avidya is only our ignorance and nothing more. It is ignorance or forgetfulness of the self. Can there be darkness before the sun? Similarly, can there be ignorance before the self-evident and self-luminous self? If you know the self, there will be no darkness, no ignorance, and no misery. It is the mind which feels the trouble, misery, etc. Darkness never comes nor goes. See the sun and there is no darkness. Similarly, see the self and avidya will be found not to exist. Devotee Sri Rama, Krishna and others practiced concentration. Maharshi, concentration and all other practices are meant for recognizing the absence, that is, non-existence of ignorance. No one can deny his own being. Being is knowledge, that is awareness. That awareness implies absence of ignorance. Therefore, everyone naturally admits non-existence of ignorance, and yet why should he suffer? Because he thinks he is this or that. That is wrong. I am alone is and not I am so and so, or I am such and such. When existence is absolute, it is right. When it is particularized, it is wrong. That is the whole truth. See how each one admits that he is. Does he look into a mirror to know his being? His awareness makes him admit his existence or being, but he confuses it with the body, etc. Why should he do so? Is he aware of his body in his sleep? No, yet he himself does not cease to be in sleep. He exists there, though without the body. How does he know that he exists in sleep? Does he require a mirror to reveal his own being now? Only be aware, and your being is clear in your awareness. Devotee, how is one to know the self? Maharshi, knowing the self means being the self. Can you say that you do not know the self? Though you cannot see your own eyes and though not provided with a mirror or look in, do you deny the existence of your eyes? Similarly, you are aware of the self even though the self is not objectified. Or do you deny yourself because it is not objectified? When you say I cannot know the self, it means absence in terms of relative knowledge, because you have been so accustomed to relative knowledge that you identify yourself with it. Such wrong identity has forged the difficulty of not knowing the obvious self, because it cannot be objectified. And you ask, how is one to know the self? Your difficulty is centered in how who is to know the self. Can the body know it? Let the body answer. Who says that the body is perceived now? In order to meet this kind of ignorance, the Shastras formulate the theory of God's Leela or Krida, that is play. God is said to emanate as the mind, the senses, and the body, and to play. Who are you to say that this play is a trouble to you? Who are you to question the doings of God? Your duty is to be and not to be this or that. I am that I am sums up the whole truth. The method is summed up. Be still. What does stillness mean? It means destroy yourself, because any form or shape is the cause of trouble. Give up the notion that I am so and so. Our Shastras say Ahimiti Sapurti. It shines as I. Devotee, what is Sapurna shining? Maharshi, Aham, I is the self. Aham idam, I am this or I am that is the ego. Shining is there always. The ego is transitory. When the I is kept up as I alone, it is the self. When it flies at a tangent and says this is this, it is the ego. Devotee, is God apart from the self? Maharshi, the self is God. I am is God. I am the self. O Gudakesa. Mahatma Gudakesa. This question arises because you are holding the ego self. This will not arise if you hold the true self. For the real self will not and cannot ask anything. If God be apart from the self, he must be a selfless God, which is absurd. Devotee, what is namaskara? prostration. Maharshi, prostration means subsidence of the ego. What is subsidence? To merge into the source of its origin. God cannot be deceived by outward genuflections, bowings, and prostrations. He sees if the individuality is there or not. Mr. Shamanna, is there a sixth sense to feel I am? Mercy, do you have it in your sleep? There is only one being functioning through the five senses. Or do you mean that each sense is independent of the self and there are five selves admitting of a sixth to control them? There is a power working through these five senses. How can you deny the existence of such power? Do you deny your existence? Do you not remain even in sleep where the body is not perceived? The same I continue to be now. So we admit our existence whether there is the body or not. The senses work periodically, their work begins and ends. There must be a substratum on which their activities depend. Where do they appear and merge? There must be a single substratum. Who are you to say that the single unit is not perceived? It is an admission of its being single, for you say that there is no second one to know it. All these discussions are only to get rid of ignorance. When that is done, everything will be clear. It is a matter of competence or ripeness. Nobody cannot grace hasten such competence in a seeker. Mercy, leave it to him. Surrender unreservedly. One of two things must be done. Either surrender because you admit your inability and also require a high power to help you, or investigate into the cause of misery, go into the source and merge into the self. Either way, you will be free from misery. God never forsakes one who has surrendered. Mamekam Sarnam Varja. Devotee, what is the drift of the mind after surrender? Mercy, is the surrendered mind raising the question? Laughter. Talk number 364. The Nellore professor asked about Visvarupa Darshana. Maharshi, Visvatma Darshana is Visvarupa Darshana, that is the universal self of the cosmic self is the cosmos. Sri Krishna started the discourse in chapter 2 saying, I have no form. In chapter 11 he says, see my form as the universe. Is it consistent? Again he says, I transcend the three words, but Arjuna says the three words in him. Sri Krishna says, I cannot be seen by man, gods, etc. Yet Arjuna sees himself and the God in him. No one could see, and yet Arjuna was endowed with divine sight to see him. Does it not look a maze of contradictions? The answer is that the understanding is wrong. Sathula drishti on the physical plane is absurd. Jnana drishti, subtle understanding, is necessary. That is why Arjuna was given Divya Chakshu, divine sight. Can such sight be gross? Will such interpretation lead you to a right understanding? Sri Krishna says, Kalosmi, I am time. Does time have shape? Again, if the universe be his form, should it not be one and unchanging? Why does he say to Arjuna, see in me whatever you desire to see? That means that his form is according to the desires of the seer. They speak of divine sight and yet paint the scene each according to his own view. There is the seer also in the scene. What is all this? Even a mesmerist can make you see strange scenes. You call this a trick, whereas the other you call divine. Why this difference? Anything seen cannot be real. That is the truth. Talk number 365. As Sri Bhagwan was continuing in the same train, a visitor asked how to overcome the identity of the self with the body. Mercy, what about sleep? Devotee, there is ignorance prevailing. Mercy, how do you know your ignorance in sleep? Did you exist in sleep or not? Devotee, I do not know. Mercy, do you deny your existence in sleep? Devotee, I must admit it by my reasoning. Mercy, how do you infer your existence? Devotee, by reasoning and experience. Mercy, is reasoning necessary for experience? Laughter. Devotee, is meditation analytical or synthetic? Mercy, analysis or synthesis are in the region of intellect. The self transcends the intellect. Marriage, there is no wrong identification of the self with the body, senses, etc. You proceed to discard these, and this is niti. This can be done only by holding to the one which cannot be discarded. That is iti alone. 21st February 1937. Talk 367. A Marathi lady, a casual visitor then taking leave, was almost on the point of bursting into tears. She asked, I know that mukti is impossible in one life. Still, may I not have peace of mind in this life? The master looked at her very kindly and said smilingly, softly, life and all else are in Burma alone. Burma is here and now. Investigate. Devotee, I am practicing meditation for a number of years, yet my mind is not steady and cannot be brought to bear on meditation. Mercy again looked steadily at her and said, do it now and all will be alright. Talk 368. A young girl of 9 or 10, whose mother is a research scholar in Sanskrit in the University of Madras, accompanied by Mr. Maurice Friedman, met Sri Bhagwan in Palakothu at about 12 noon. Sri Bhagwan, as usual with him, kindly smiled on her. She asked Sri Bhagwan, why is there misery on earth? Maharshi, due to karma, devotee. Who makes karma bear fruits? Maharshi, God. Devotee, God makes us do karma and gives bad fruits for bad karma. Is it fair? Sri Bhagwan almost laughed and was very pleased with her. Later he was coaxing her to read something on returning to the hall. Since then he is watching her. 22nd February 1937, talk number 369. A Marathi gentleman and wife past middle age are on a visit here. They are quiet and simple. Both of them tearfully took leave, and the gentleman even sobbed out a prayer for Sri Bhagwan's grace. Sri Bhagwan gazed at them and with his lips parted, showing the row of white teeth. His eyes also had a tear in them. Talk 370. Sri Bhagwan was in the cattle shed. People were working and he watched their work for a short time. Then someone came and said that a large number of visitors were waiting in the hall. Sri Bhagwan in his calm way said, yes, yes, you do your work, let me go for mine. People are waiting for me, let me go. Then he left the place. Talk 23rd February 1937, talk number 371. There was a group of three middle-aged Andhras on a visit to Sri Bhagwan. One of them kneeled and asked, I am performing at yoga, namely Basti, Dhoti, Niti, etc. I find a blood vessel hardened in the ankle. Is it result of yoga? Maharshi, the blood vessel would have hardened under any circumstances. It does not trouble you as much now as it would otherwise. Hatha yoga is a cleaning process. It also helps peace of mind after leading you to pranayama. Devotee, may I do pranayama? Is it useful? Maharshi, pranayama is an aid for control of mind only. You should not stop with pranayama. You must proceed further to Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. Full results are reaped finally. Another of the group asked how are lust, anger, acquisitiveness, confusion, pride, and jealousy overcome. Maharshi, by Dhyana. Devotee, what is Dhyana? Maharshi, Dhyana is holding on to a single thought and putting off all other thoughts. Devotee, what is to be meditated upon? Maharshi, anything that you preferred. Devotees Shiva, Vishnu and Gayatri are said to be equally efficacious. Which should I meditate upon? Maharshi, anyone you like best, they all are equal in their effect, but you should stick to one. Devotee, how to meditate? Mercy, concentrate on that one whom you like best. If a single thought prevails, all other thoughts are put off and finally eradicated. So long as diversity prevails, there are bad thoughts. When the object of love prevails, only good thoughts hold the field. Therefore, hold on to one thought only. Dhyana is the chief practice. A little later, Sri Bhagwan continued, Dhyana means a fight. As soon as you begin meditation, other thoughts will crowd together, gather force, and try to sink the single thought to which you try to hold. The good thought must gradually gain strength by repeated practice. After it has grown strong, the other thoughts will be put to flight. This is the battle royal always taking place in meditation. One wants to rid oneself of misery. It requires peace of mind, which means absence of perturbation owing to all kinds of thoughts. Peace of mind is brought about by dhyana alone. Devotee, what is the need then for pranayama? Maharshi, pranayama is meant for one who cannot directly control the thoughts. It serves as a brake to a car, but one should not stop with it. As I said before, you must proceed to Pratyahara, Dharana and Dhyana. After the fruition of Dhyana, the mind will come under control even in the absence of Pranayama. The asanas postures help pranayama, which helps dhyana in its turn and practice of mind results. Here is the purpose of Hatha Yoga. Later Sri Bhagwan continued, when dhyana is well established, it cannot be given up. It will go on automatically even when you are engaged in work, play or enjoyment. It will persist in sleep too. Dhyana must become so deep rooted that it will be natural to one. Devotee, what right or action is necessary for the development of dhyana? Maharshi, dhyana is itself the action, the right and the effort. It is the most intense and potent of all. No other effort is necessary. Devotee, is not japa necessary? Maharshi, is dhyana not walk, speech? Why is japa necessary for it? If dhyana is gained, there is no need for anything else. Devotee, is not a vow of silence helpful? Mercy, a vow is only a vow. It may help dhyana to some extent, but what is the good of keeping the mouth closed and letting the mind run right? If the mind be engaged in dhyana, where is the need for speech? Nothing is as good as dhyana. Should one take to action with a vow of silence, where is the good of vow? Devotee, what is Jnana Marga? Mercy, I have been saying it for so long. What is jnana? Jnana means a realization of the truth. It is done by dhyana. Dhyana helps you to hold on to truth to the exclusion of all thoughts. Devotee, why are there so many gods mentioned? Maharshi, the body is only one. Still, how many functions are performed by it? The sources of all the function is only one. It is in the same way with the God also. Devotee, why does a man suffer misery? Mercy, misery is due to multifarious thoughts. If the thoughts are unified and centered on a single item, there is no misery. But happiness is the result. Then even the thought I do something is absent, nor will there be an eye on the fruit of action. Top 372. Devotee, horripilation, sobbing, voice, joyful tears, etc. are mentioned in Atam Vidya Vilasa and other works. Are these found in Samadhi or before or after? Maharshi, all these are the symptoms of exceedingly subtle modes of mind virtues. Without duality, they cannot remain. Samadhi is perfect peace where these cannot find place. After emerging from Samadhi, the remembrance of the state gives rise to these symptoms. In Bhakti Marga path of devotion, these are the precursors to Samadhi. Devotee, are they not so in the path of Jnana, Maharshi? Maybe there is no definiteness about it. It depends on the nature of the individual. Individuality entirely lost, these cannot find a place. Even the slightest trace of it being present, these symptoms become manifest. Manika Vachgar and other saints have spoken of these symptoms. They say tears rush forth involuntarily and irrepressibly. Irrepressibly, though aware of tears, they are unable to repress them. I had the same experience when I was staying Virupaksha cave. Devotee, sleep state is said to be the experience of bliss, yet on recollecting it, the hairs do not stand on, and why should they do so if the samadhi state is recollected? Mercy, samadhi means sleep in waking state, Jagrat Susupti. Bliss is overpowering and experience is very clear, whereas it is different in sleep. Duty can be put it that in sleep there is no happiness nor happiness, that is, the experience is negative, not positive. Maharshi, but the recollection is positive. I slept happily, says the man. So there must be the experience of happiness in sleep. Devotee, does bliss consist only in the absence of unhappiness or is it anything positive? Mercy, it is positive. Loss of unhappiness and rise of happiness are simultaneous. Devotee, can it be that the recollection of happiness in sleep is not clear and so there is no horripilation, etc.? Mercy, the bliss of Samadhi is a perfect clear experience and its recollection also is similar, but the experience of sleep is otherwise. 28th February 1937, talk number 373. As the Maharaj of Mysore had a private interview with Sri Bhagwan in the newly built bathroom from 9:15 to 9:30 am. His Highness saluted Sri Bhagwan, placing his head on Sri Bhagwan's feet and head, and said, I have read Sri Bhagwan's life and long had a desire to meet him, but my circumstances are such that intentions of this kind cannot easily be carried into effect, nor can I stay here as other disciples can, considering all my limitations. While I remain here for about 15 minutes, I shall now pray only for thy grace. On departure, HS again saluted Sri Bhagwan as before and left after presenting two fine shawls and some money to the office. 13th May 1937, talk 374. HS, the Maharaja of Travancore, had an interview from 4:30 p.m. to 5:15 p.m. Their Highness the Maharaja and Maharani of Travancore, who arrived at Tiruvannamalai by 8 a.m. train, visited the ashram at 4:15 p.m. The public were excluded from the hall where Bhagwan sat. Even devotees who were daily visiting the hall were by a sad mistake excluded from the interview. The royal party was introduced to Sri Bhagwan by a retired district magistrate to its camp, the private secretary to HS, the Maharaja, some officials of the Travancore state and an advocate of Malayapur were present. The discussion started by the district magistrate went on about manas, concentration, realization, purpose of creation, etc. Her Highness put some questions expressing her doubts and they were all explained by Sri Bhagwan. HS, the Maharaja, also took part in the discussion. The whole conversation was in Tamil and Malayalam. During the visit of the royal family of Travancore, Her Highness appeared very cultured, vivacious and conversant with Malayalam, Tamil and English. Most of the questions were put by Her Highness. One of the questions was, devotee, what is the purpose of creation? Maharshi, it is to give rise to this question, investigate the answer to this question and finally abide in the supreme or rather the primal source of all, including the self. The investigation will resolve itself into one of quest for the self and cease only after the non-self is shifted away and the self realized in its purity and glory. Devotee, how is the investigation to start? Maharshi, the self is plain to all and the starting also equally plain. Devotee, what is the starting point for one in my stage of development? Maharshi, each one has some method of upasana or japa. If that is pursued in all sincerity with the due perseverance, it will automatically lead to the investigation of the self. The writer of these notes was not present and the above was gathered from one of the attendants of Sri Maharshi. So I stop the video here. Thank you for watching this video and like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. Thanks a lot. Namaskar my dear friends.